Greetings, dear precious, magnificent spirit soul, divine being, eternal that you are. Isn't that great? There's nothing missing from you. There's nothing wrong with you. Now my topic. The mind is not God. Now what happens is people believe their thoughts, and so they give their thoughts the power to manifest. Just like people say, well, the universe manifested this, the universe gave me this, the universe is a printer machine. You don't even know where there is a universe. Where is it? I don't know what it is. Where is it? And so instead of the mind is afraid of God, the divine, because it wants to be God. So therefore, when you get people stuck in the mind, it's all about them, but not about anybody else. And when we are in our heart, that means that we are using a physical term, but it's not, but we're centered in our own wisdom, in our own natural state in the now. That's where the power is, because that's where we are with the divine. And according to the Vedas, Veda means knowledge, great knowledge, Sanskrit, is that it's like we're two birds on a branch. One of the birds is us, and we're out there looking out in the outer world for a tasty morsel, something to give us a little bit of pleasure, a dopamine hit of some kind, a taste sensation, a sex experience, whatever it may be, looking for something out to get some, to actually alleviate the suffering that goes on constantly, the lives of quiet desperation, all right? So then always looking out there. And then the other bird, that is super soul. And I like the word super soul. That means that what we're part of. It doesn't say God. It doesn't say that word, because that's been so trashed. So many. You know, the first word I ever said when I was a little kid was dog, which is great because that backwards is God. So I was trying to say God. I said dog. It was great. They were great too. So anyway, so when you're, what I was saying here, in the mind is envious of God, because the mind wants you to stay stuck in the mind and believe the mind. And it's afraid of God, because it's only the divine that can get rid of the mind. And you are the divine. You're everywhere present, all-powerful and all-knowing. Why? Because you are part of the absolute and the supreme, everywhere present. That's ether as it manifests here, but it's that other all-pervasive of energy that is behind, in a sense, that supports this virtual reality, because it's still using God's energy, divine energy, which we would call us divine energy, but we're not energy that it can be measured. We are, you might call us more of a vibration. So so anyway, the mind is afraid of God. That means the mind is afraid of you knowing and being who you are. So the mind is not working for it. But people say, wait a minute, there's divine mind, there's intelligence mind. Well, you can call it that if you want, and it becomes a mind, M-I-N-E, and it's an M-I-N-D, and it also means mensa, okay? So that is the word meant, environment, and that's also the mind, which is your environment, is also mental. So when you take those words and you begin to look in the dictionary to find out what you're actually speaking into manifestation, and what you believe and pack with your own emotions and intention, because you accept it and you agree with it and you believe it because it comes from the mind, you're manifesting a false reality that has birth and death for you, and struggle and suffering. Why? You don't need to do that. And when we recognize and realize that who we are is the divine, and the source, our beloved, our partner, our super soul, Paramatma, And that is with each and every living entity, animal included, who is a living entity, a true divine being. And then you also have those entities or being that operate from the mind. They become socio and psychopaths. They have to, because that's the consciousness of the mind. It's about itself without anyone else, and uses everyone and everything and consumes it, vampires it, parasites it as its host, because it's devoid of spiritual technology. It's devoid of the soul, the creative, which is, we would call that the true feminine, not having to do with one's, what would you say, appearance, shall we say, but as to one's real divine creative beings as a bridesmaid of the divine. And when we really get what that means, that we are the lovers of God and the divine, and the divine is our lover, our beloved, and who does all for us in the spiritual and how it operates. So, as I say, take back your power. It means move your awareness of the divine and God from your thinking, from what you've learned and heard and realized, and all the stories, to bring it yourself to here. So that's where you want to get yourself barefooted. Okay? And you remember that the people get electricity's everywhere. That's free energy already. It's already everywhere. And you emanate it, you generate it, you create it. It's who you are. And then be in nature as much as possible. Be able to be alone and notice what your patterns and habits are that keep you in the mind and keep you running after these things. We get caught up in it. And what can you do that's going to allow you to immerse yourself as much as possible in the spiritual and in the divine, in that truth. And it's not about holding on to any beliefs, like they make things like absolutes, such as if you see something in somebody else, you're judging because it's already in you. That isn't true all the time. It has some truth in it, but that's not true. You can perceive evil out there being done, doesn't mean you have evil in you. You could choose evil if you want it. And they say, well, in the spiritual, there is no good or bad. These are our judgments and our evaluations. That does not mean that you can do anything at all, and anything you do, you can't judge it as good or bad. Are you serious? That's not true. Because that's that's evil, that's harming or hurting another living entity, and including yourself. You see, the abuse of that. So what happens is, in the divine, there is no evil. That does not mean people are cruel to others, but we call it good. No, that doesn't happen. You do things not for what you're going to get, but you do what you do because it comes from the mode of goodness, the mood of goodness, because you are absolute goodness. And when that comes from you in the mode and mood of goodness, because you are absolute goodness, you are now operating from your heart, from your divine self, rather than from the mind is going to talk you out of it. It's going to make up stories. It's going to make up people who have helped you, evil and bad, so you don't have to give back to them. So you could just take and then make them wrong because they wanted to receive something, but oh no, you couldn't do that. This is what people do. This is the mind. And this is when you see the troubles. These aren't natural. Animals didn't hurt animals. People didn't hurt people in those bodies. No. And it wasn't the struggle. This is all from the mind. So as you take your power back, say, you have to notice when you're in the mind and what it's doing for you and what it's doing to you and what it is. And there is spiritual technology. Immerse yourself in it, and then you'll be manifesting your own reality, not an artificial reality. You'll be in the divine reality, my dear. And that's where we belong.